What's poppin'? It's your boy Schmirak, URLTV.TV.
What's up? This is Beasley, man, and you are now tuned into a PMG conversation.
You already know. Let's get it. Schmirak.
Alright, what up? We got Smack and Beasley in the building, creators, founders, innovators of the whole URLTV movement. And I'm here to chop it up with them about a few things.
There's a couple of us that ain't here though, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Let me get right, you know what I mean? Shout out to Chico, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Norbs, shout out to, like, you know what I'm saying, Twiz, shout out to my man Body Bag, my nigga E, everybody that plays a part, you know what I'm saying? Heck, you know what I'm saying?
Alright, man. Yeah, well, you know, as most of us may know, y'all started off with the whole Smack DVD empire. Just basically running around with the camera, getting interviews, just taking us to the streets where the artists be. Y'all basically put the visual to the rap game that a lot of us are familiar with today, but we wasn't back then.
Right.
Will we ever see the Smack DVD, that format, come back?
It's possible. It's very possible. I think that, you know, I mean, you know, that's one of my babies and shit, like just getting real street content that, you know what I mean, dudes in all over the country could appreciate, you know what I'm saying? Just the time changed, so I had to, you know what I mean, evolve and do other things, but I really miss doing that, so it's definitely a strong possibility that, you know what I'm saying, the Smack DVDs will eventually come back. They might be on chips, you know what I'm saying, whatever, I don't know. Technology shit is moving, you know what I mean? We're on a digital age now. We in a digital era, so you know what I'm saying? DVDs is probably about to, you know what I'm saying, move out like the CDs and the tapes did, you know what I mean? Now, you know what I mean, everything's gonna be on chips, so.
Or web-based, or webisodes.
If it does, I was about to say, man, if it does return, it'll probably be in a webisode format, because before, when we could keep all the exclusive content because it wasn't such a super highway for distribution, now everything is quick, you know what I mean? So if you get in a story, you got to release it right away because somebody else is probably going to get your story or close to it. So, you know what I mean? We probably would, if we did that format again, which we are talking about, it would probably be released in webisodes immediately once the interview is conducted.
All right, so, you know, y'all took a little brief hiatus, but then you came back with the whole, you know, URL thing. What made y'all start that, the URL, the Ultimate Rap League?
I mean, it was just something that I felt wasn't being represented the right way. You know what I mean? With, you know,
in terms of battle rap,
as far as the culture, you know, I ain't like the way it was really being represented. So it's like, you know, I mean, I feel like we pioneered that whole genre, that whole style. You know what I'm saying? A battle between two MCs, no music, a crowd, round for round. You know what I'm saying? I feel we was the first to document that type of content and introduce it to the world. You know what I mean? And the way it was being represented wasn't the way we knew it as. And it was, and the people that was actually doing it at the time was the only ones out there on a wide level that people really actually, you know what I mean, paid attention to. So they thinking that, you know, Grind Time or, you know, anybody, this is battle rap. You know what I mean? This is battle rap, and it wasn't being represented the right way, so we just wanted to, you know what I mean, do it in a way where, you know, people could appreciate our perspective when it comes to the culture.
And I just felt like there were certain elements that are missing that makes what we do a little bit different. One is our audience is different, you know what I mean? And it's definitely a tense environment when you're at a battle. I mean, luckily, we really haven't had anyone get hurt or anything like that, but that feeling of closeness amongst crews and, you know, people are really on edge, that's what creates the setting. And that's what people like when they look in the crowd and everybody's there and it's a tough audience, and it makes the MCs perform at the highest level because they know if they come in bullshit, it's not going to fly. So, not to say that we didn't appreciate the other leagues that were out at the time, you know what I'm saying, but we wanted to do it in a way that we're used to doing and put it out there in the way, kind of the smack style, but we just decided to come back and we talked about it and we said, we're going to come back, we're going to increase the production value, we're going to mic up the guys wirelessly, we're going to put them in venues, bring them indoors so we can control the lighting and settings and, try to build something, and, that's basically what we did.
All right, so, I'm going to keep it all the way real. From what I've seen, y'all basically, taking over the whole battle culture. Has it been any rift between y'all and any other leagues out there in terms of the whole competitive nature of it? Because there were a few, no names need to be mentioned, but there were a few other things around. Or do y'all all work together, or is it like a big
I see. I look at it as almost like friendly competition. Like you'll never look and see URL trashing another league. You know what I'm saying? I mean, although the MCs take it upon themselves that compete for us to take shots, but that was going on even before URL existed. Because in some of the other leagues, you would see guys saying, "You smack rappers, whatever." That was already going on. So the rappers kind of took it, upon themselves to say things about the other leagues. But as far as us personally, we just for whoever's enhancing the culture as long as they're doing it right. So we don't really have any rifts between other battle leagues. I just feel like at a certain point, if it's not about money, it's just silly. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All right. So speaking of money, I've seen I've seen a couple of battlers say that they feel like niggas being so money hungry is causing a big problem in battle rap. Do y'all see that? Like, do y'all see the money impacting the culture?
Absolutely. But, it's just part of the game, you know what I'm saying? The bigger it gets, the more demand that people want to see, the artists and everything like that is going to grow. But I think they definitely, deserve to be compensated. They sit down, they put their material together. They take their time out to perform in front of the world. I think that's worth something. What it's worth needs to, basically be determined. Like,
Right.
I think the purses that these guys are requesting at times are moving faster than what the culture can accommodate. You know what I mean? It's at a certain level right now. It's probably as big as it's ever been. But the money is not all the way there yet. You know what I'm saying? To make it work. Like, I know sometimes MCs might see a URL event and say, well, hey, they had this amount of people and they were charging this amount of money, and they're basically trying to calculate what we make without having a clear understanding of what it takes to put an event together. The plane tickets, people missing flights, hotels, purses, production, editing, graphics. These are all things that cost money, and our personal time and energy that we take away from our families to put events together. You know what I'm saying? And there's cost there, but there's money that's coming in, but as quick as it's coming in, we put it back and invest it into the culture, and I feel like that's what's kind of propelled things to get to the level that it is now. And I think eventually, our goal is to make battle rap its own industry. You know what I'm saying? Where you have people supporting the artists and supporting, the platforms that promote battle rap as its own industry, as opposed to everybody looking to find the next recording artist. They're just supporting the battle artists, and I guess the battle platforms would be more looked at as labels.
Absolutely, that definitely makes sense to me. Because even when I see artists like Mook saying he wants 25,000, and Lux saying he wants 10,000, I tend to question: do they genuinely feel like is that much money in it? Like, do y'all feel it has the potential to get there one day, even though you feel like it's not there now? Do you feel like there will be a time when you can offer that type of money to battle rappers?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, right now the culture is growing at its all-time high right now, and I think, the more, we build it up, it's going to catch the attention of, like, different corporations and companies that might want to be trying to monetize to this demographic that's actually watching these battles. The numbers that we actually get on these battles is crazy. So, we got eyeballs on whatever product we wrap around it, They could actually, get their message across. That's the power in what we do. So, it could get there. We just got to build it up and, you know, present it in a right way where it could be accepted to have an opportunity for a company to want to get behind it and, you know, try
right.
to,
And the battle rappers that are asking for those,
numbers,
it got to be clear on that. They got to understand, because I've seen, I pay attention.
But if you look at all our events we did, we didn't never have no sponsors. You know what I mean? Everything is basically done at 100% independent. So it's like, you know, it's not at that level yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So I pay attention to what's going on, and often I see, battle rappers, mention the term top tier.
Right.
So being that y'all are, within that realm of battle, we want to know from y'all directly, who do y'all think are top tier battlers? Who are the top tier battle rappers in the URL?
I mean, the elite level MCs in the URL that I would say are
how many you trying to give us though?
How many? Yeah, how many we got to name?
I mean, there's only 8 teams in the playoffs, right? There's 30-some teams in the league, but you only get down to, you know what I'm saying? You only get down to 8 teams in the playoffs every year, right?
I'm gonna say some names, and I'm not gonna say that. I'm doing this based off of numbers, off of popularity, because like I said, there's different ways that you can judge how someone's an elite level MC. It could be off of popularity, it could be off of lyricism, it could be off of views, it could be off of performance. You know what I mean? If you asked me to name who I thought was in the top, I'll do it based off of the information kind of that we get through our Twitter and through the email.
Yeah, even if I feel like it's from the fans. I mean, even
from a fan's perspective, what they dictate is Hollow the Don, A-Verb, Tech 9,
Surf,
Tsunami Surf, Calico. I mean, just about everybody. I would say anybody that's battled with us more than 3 or 4 battles.
Yeah, Math. You know what I'm saying? DNA.
All right, but let's keep it real. Everybody in the URL can't be top tier.
Nah, I don't.
Or can't be the elite. Like everybody can't be the elite. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
so
you're right about that, but like,
it's crazy though. I'll get guys who like the guys from the Proving Grounds, from the newer MCs, and they're ready to match them with a Hollow the Don. Let's say, I want to see John the Don go against Hollow the Don. I want to see QP versus, Tsunami Surf. You know what I mean? So, it's all about preference and what someone feels somebody can bring to the table.
Everybody, that's like asking like how you judge a battle. You know what I'm saying?
We can.
I mean, but all right. So you answer that question for me. What's the proper way on judging a battle?
Listen, we interviewing y'all.
Nah, I mean, I'm just saying though. I feel you, but I'm just saying though. At the same time though, it's like there's a lot of different ways you could go about doing it. So you know what I mean. My point is that everybody got their own opinion on who they feel is elite type rapper. You know what I mean? And you can't say that they wrong for that. You know what I mean? Because that's who they fuck with. You know what I mean?
All right. I definitely respect that answer. And they gotta. I know they gotta remain neutral on certain things. I understand that. But we on real nigga time, though.
Right.
All right. So basically, y'all coming from that hardcore era where niggas was just running up on each other, battling and all of that.
Right.
Do y'all feel that it's a bit of a ego thing that's stopping certain battles from happening, or what's keeping certain battlers from not getting in the ring with each other? Because there's a few of them out there that people want to see that for whatever reason ain't happening. So what's stopping that?
Within the battle world, there's like a hierarchy between MCs. You know what I mean? So it's like, for instance, if you're an MC, and a lot of the guys that come from the DVD era, from the Smack DVD era, and even from the Lions Den DVDs, you know what I mean, which is kind of an extension of URL in a sense, because it's all like kind of family with Lux and everything. The guys from that era, because they kind of existed in this genre a little bit longer, they kind of feel, what I'm saying, without offending them, that they're privy to certain level of respect, right? Then you have the guys that emerged from online that are getting views. You know what I mean? So there's guys that are really popular in the street, and there's guys that are really popular online. Now what you have to try to do is you're fusing 2 different worlds together. So you might have a guy who's from California who got millions of views. But you got a guy over here who's on the DVD, everyone knows him and respects him. Now they're putting their reputations on the line to see who's gonna win. You know what I'm saying? So every guy, this is like boxing now. You know, that's the way the culture's developed. So you got two guys and he's looking at one guy and he's saying, well, what do I have to offer by giving him a shot? If I lose to him, it takes down my status. We're slowly changing the face of that. Before it was like if you lost a battle, you lost your life. Like it was over for you. Oh, he lost, it's over. But there's plenty of guys in the URL who have lost, choked, just flat out were terrible, and have been able to rebound and become top level MCs. So, you know, we're trying to take it one fight at a time. But to answer your question, it's like a hierarchy within the battle world. So certain guys won't battle other guys because they don't feel that their status is on the same level. They don't feel it's an even exchange if they battle in terms of boosting their profile up. So they're like, if I have 7 battles and all of my battles are over 400,000, why am I going to battle MC Joe and he has 1,000 views? If he beats me, it's the biggest thing in the world for him to shoot past me. But if I beat him, I'm supposed to beat him. Right. So, you know, now that there's a way to actually track what somebody does within the culture, being that the internet has come into play, now you have people, they have evidence. They can say, look at this, I'm not bad, I need this amount of money, or you're going to need to at least have this amount of followers, this amount of views in order to secure a battle.
So being that y'all raised that platform so high to where, you know, now it's like you got so much in play now in terms of money, in terms of the names, in terms of, you know, the events. Has that become a gift and a curse? You know, or is everything just things y'all just work through, the politics, the back and forth, the negotiations of money? Like, how has that been for y'all? Because you come from where you was just pulling out the camera and 2 niggas was going at it.
I mean, it's alright, you know what I mean? Like, we understand that, you know what I mean? We trying to do something to raise the level of consciousness of this art form. So, you know what I'm saying? As we do that, we got the understanding that it's gonna grow, and it takes money to grow, you know what I mean? And it's cool, like, you know, I mean, we don't got a problem with it at all. Like, you know what I mean? I love compensating the guys. They work hard. They put their talents, because a lot of people can't do what they do. You know what I mean? So you got to appreciate that art form for what it is, and they need to be compensated for that. So the negotiation is different from like back in the days. I mean, back in the days was cool. You know what I mean? You know, yo, come battle. Yo, all right, boom, boom, boom. We there, yo.
Right.
Popping, you know, I mean, you know, that was beautiful, but we understand that it's a business, and if it's a business, you know what I'm saying, money got to be exchanged. So that's just real nigga talk, you know what I mean?
All right, so what battle, for whatever reason, that hasn't taken place that y'all would like to see?
A whole lot of battles. I mean, when we started this, I mean, B's answered the question before, like, so I was just let him get his rocks off, but like, me personally, I wanted everybody, that's somebody, to see each other at one time or another. You know what I mean? So we could all see, like, you know what I mean, how the different styles can match up with the different styles, and like, you know, the different methods that, you know, people may use in the battle, like how they execute them and all that. So I like to see everybody. That's what it's all about, you know what I mean? And we could basically, you know, go back to the tapes and, you know, and rematches. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're in favor of rematches?
I'm definitely in favor. You're gonna see a couple of rematches real soon too. You know what I mean? That's one of my, you know what I mean, goals for, you know what I mean, 2012. You know?
All right, so let me ask y'all, why do you think a lot of people say that battle rappers can't make good music? Like, what's the stigma behind that?
Well, I think because a lot of times, a lot of the MCs who have attempted, now let me be clear, there are a couple of MCs that do make good music, you know what I mean? But a lot of them in the past have attempted to make good music, but the mindset when they're creating has to be different. So a lot of times you have guys that are battling the beat. So a lot of times they're going bar for bar for bar for bar for bar for bar instead of just kind of relaxing, because the song And music is a vibe. It's a mixture of memories and emotions and something you're trying to convey to your listeners. You know what I mean? It's a vibe or a moment that you're trying, whether it's a festive moment from a party or it's a deep story about you growing up as a kid. These are things that you have to try to get across and matching up the right beats. So a lot of times, if they're rhyming a cappella all the time and they're not rhyming on beats and they're not recording as much as they're supposed to record, when they finally get a chance to get in the booth, that's a whole other science of finding your voice, finding your lane, finding out what you represent as an artist. Is two totally different things. So a lot of people think because they've been battling and they can actually rap and flow that they can make records. But they're two, and I'm not saying that they can't make records, but it's the artists who are making good music, they understand that when they're making a record, they're not necessarily trying to hit you with 5 million punchlines. They're just doing a song and they're expressing their feelings at the time. So I think that's what the problem is. But if you look back in history, you got Jay-Z, you got Eminem, you even got Banks, you got Cassidy, you got people who have been successful in the music industry that come from the battle background, DMX. So, you know, even LL on certain levels is battling dudes on records. It's still a form of battling and competition. So, you know, there are a lot of MCs. It's just that people try to sweep it under the rug and say, oh, you know, battle MCs can't make records. They're not good for this. They're only good for battling. And it's not true. Just like, but every artist that raps, there's a million dudes in your neighborhood that rap, but they're all not good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you can't just say, oh, all guys from this area are no good. You know what I mean? It might be 1 out of 50 or 100 people that's actually decent that may even have a shot of making it. So it all depends.
All right. So, you know, as of late, you know, we've been seeing these 1 round limited battles. How do y'all feel about 1 round battles?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like 1 round battles. But we actually, in a way indirectly, are kind of guilty of starting 1 round battles. We conceded, I think the first was conceded in Jesse James, right?
Yeah, Jesse James.
Now, URL has never scheduled a 1 round battle. Like, I've never called somebody up and said, yo, you want to do this 1 round? Never. But usually the purpose and the science behind a 1 round battle is a number of reasons. Either there's 2 MCs that want to be on the card and they don't have ample time to prepare, or 1 MC is giving another MC a shot and he's saying, I'm only going to give you 1 round of these bars and see what you can do. Or, you know, the promoter of the battle league may not have the money to pay for a full round battle, or, you know what I mean? Or there just may not be enough money in the pot to pay for a full 3 rounds. Or, you know, there's some people now that are just specifically doing them because they want to do 1 round battles, and that's cool. But I'm just saying the birth of the 1 round battle is generally because there's no time to prepare, there's limited money, or there's another MC giving another guy a shot. Now, me personally, I don't like 1 round battles because I don't think that you get, and I have some 1 round battles coming up. But I did not plan to have 1 round battles. The 2 MCs were dope and I wanted to record their talent, so I appreciate it even if it's 1 round. So I have to record it because URL, we got to keep our foot on everybody's neck. We out here. But you know, if you look, you know what I'm saying, at a 1 round, you need 3 rounds to kind of determine where someone's at, because if someone fires something off at you in a battle and hits you emotionally, now you want to see how the other guy reacts to pressure. So then he comes back, and then you want to see what the guy can, if he can deliver and where his stamina's at. That's a true test. 3 rounds gives you that ability to really see what somebody can deliver. So, you know what I mean? That's my personal preference. I'm not mad at MCs, you know, if they, you know, getting paid a lot of money to, you know, take a 1 round battle. You know what I'm saying? They got to get money. You know what I'm saying? If they're being compensated for something that they like to do, there's nothing wrong with it. But my personal preference is I don't like 1 round battles. You know what I'm saying? If 2 MCs call me up and they say, yo, you got a battle card next week, me and so-and-so going to do this 1 round for you, you know what I'm saying, what's up? And I know they're going to do it regardless. I'm going to tape it, but I'm not going to contract. You know what I'm saying? What you think?
What you think about that, Smack?
1 round battles, you know, I think they're kind of destructive when it comes to certain battles, you know. You know what I mean? When you got battles of with certain profile artists, you know what I mean, that got potential. It might be a potential classic, and you know what I'm saying, it's shot as a 1 round battle. It takes away from the culture because, you know what I'm saying, that could have been a classic battle. You know what I mean? But, you know, since it was shot in a 1 round format, nobody is ever gonna want to revisit that battle. I can name a couple of them, like T-Rex and DNA. That battle right there is like, you know, that could have been a classic 3 round matches. The world would want to see that. I think it cheats the world to really see a classic, you know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, like Beasley just said all this, this is half of my brain right here, you know what I'm saying? We talk every day, all day, you know what I mean? So I pretty much feel like how he feel about it, but, you know, but that's just a different, you know what I mean, perspective on why we don't like 1 round battles, or we rather not do 1 round battles.
So you feel like it's basically cheating the game, you feel like?
It's cheating the culture. It's definitely cheating the culture, you know. Yeah, man, there's a lot of battles that should have been, you know, classics. That's only 1 round.
I feel like everybody refers to themselves as champions and masters in the game, right? Alright. Tiger Woods, he don't do 1 par of golf, you know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan doesn't play 1 quarter of basketball. Mike Tyson, he may have knocked somebody out in 1 round, but it was scheduled for 12. You know what I'm saying? Nobody comes with the mindset that I'm doing a 1 round. And I don't want, my thing is, I don't want, when you start comparing it to money and whatever, and then you putting in the mind, well, I can get this amount if I just do this 1 round. It's damaging because now no one's really bringing their A game. They're trying to, you know, match it around the money that they can make, and you know what I mean? And I understand everyone should be paid. I'm not, you know, against that, but, you know, a champion in any sport, this is a hip-hop sport, you should come with a competitive drive to complete the task at hand. You know what I'm saying? No shortcuts. You know what I mean?
Back in the day, we used to go 10 rounds, man. Mook and Lux. That went like 8 rounds, man.
Sir. All the way to outside the store.
Outside the store.
Yes,
you know what I mean? J Mills and Mook, 5 rounds. This is the era where we come from. You know what I mean? We just made it 3 rounds because there's a time limit on the amount of the attention span of a viewer that he's gonna sit down and watch something for. But I be in the crib getting high on my own supply, watching battles and all that. But it's like, I could sit down for like an 8 round battle and just analyze and break down the whole thing. That's where we come from. So, you know, 1 round is just like, you know, very different.
Okay, all right.
Very different.
So let's take it back to the whole Smack DVD era. And the height of what y'all was doing, no, I want both of y'all to answer this. What was one of the most memorable moments y'all had just running around with that camera and hitting the streets with these artists?
I got tons of memorable art. Like, I got years of memorable, you know what I mean, moments, you know what I'm saying, doing the Smack and coming from the Smack. But, man, like, which one? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
there was some
running around with, you know what I mean, on G4s with Joe, sitting down with Fifth, Eminem,
catching up
Dipset,
with Kanye in Atlanta, that was crazy.
Atlanta, you know what I mean, Kanye, you know what I mean? Shit popping off in Philly with Dipset, niggas jumping in the crowd, getting it on, you know what I mean?
What was he in Florida with Jeezy?
Yeah,
Jeezy. That crazy shit jumped off too.
Jeezy shit, another shit. It's crazy, you know what I mean? Also, real street shit, man.
Like watching like new MCs, like when you put the camera on them and you know they're about to do something, and before you release the footage, like you actually look at it. Like I can remember like when we shot Corey Guns.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Y'all pretty much introduced us to Corey Guns.
You know, Smack called me after, was like, yo, this shit is hot, B. This is out of here. He was like, this might be one of the hottest shits on this DVD. And sure enough, boom! As soon as it dropped, you know what I mean? Seeing Saigon in its early stages, True Life, even like Jim Jones and Jewels prior to, you know, them really stepping out on their own when they were still working with Cam. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who kind of like got a boost from the platform. I feel like Smack DVD was like, man, it was just like the illest shit.
Bible of the streets, man.
It was crazy. Streets, it was like what the blogs and the internet is now, but it was more so based for the street. You know what I mean? It was some street shit that had a lot of power. And it was just crazy, man. It was an insane time. It was a transition from, you know, hardware to digital online.
Right. And even at that time, you know, we seen y'all. I mean, y'all was going in the places where niggas wasn't even allowed. I'm talking about Little Haiti, Soundview Projects.
Soundview.
Like,
you got stories in Soundview.
What made y'all want to take that cameraman and venture into these places? Like what woke y'all up when they said, man, we need to show these people what's going on out here?
I mean, just, you know, basically I always thought, you know, I came up with the Clue tapes, Ron G tapes, and all that shit, the freestyles. Like, before I even first got my first camera, I'm like, damn, you know, man, I just thought that, you know, it'd be crazy if we could see some visuals behind all these mixtapes, man. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, just actually seeing these artists in the studios and shit like that, where, you know what I mean, they making all this music that we hearing. So, you know, we basically got the necessary equipment to get it popping, you know what I mean, and started, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we had a lot of ties in the streets and, like, you know what I'm saying, in the music business, and, you know, we knew a lot of people, so it was not that hard to get the access that, you know what I'm saying, we was trying to promote and trying to show the world. So, you know what I mean, we just made it happen.
And it was too, it was like, you know, people always want to grasp and touch what they can't normally see. So like if we started to it would be a lot of times where artists would call us and say, hey, come up to the office in the conference room and do an interview, and we would decline because that wouldn't make us any different from a BET interview or anything else. You know what I'm saying? People want to feel the texture, they want to see the neighborhood, they want to see the goons, they want to see people around, and that's what made it Smack. You know what I'm saying? That's what made it what it was, is that you could actually look and see some shit that you're never gonna see anyplace else, but only on that DVD. It's almost like people that watch Nat Geo or Discovery Channel so they can see specials about jail and shit, so they can see the insides of the jails and what they look like and how things function. It's the same thing. You got people in the suburbs and different parts of the country, different places in the world that have never seen the hoods, you know what I'm saying? Or even people, you know, want to know what the hoods in Louisiana look like, or the projects in the Bronx, or, you know, Florida, or Little Haiti. You know what I mean? People want to see these places. So I think that's another reason why we kind of got out there. That was our niche. You know what I'm saying? That's what it became about.
All right, so speaking of it being so street, you know, niggas was saying that, you know, a lot of things that happened in the streets was caused by those Smack DVD thing. Do y'all feel that way? Do y'all honestly feel that, you know, in terms of, you know, niggas pulling out guns on camera and the drugs and the weed or whatever, do y'all feel like it was more so of y'all just showing niggas what they do anyway, or do y'all feel niggas was putting on a show for the camera?
It's a combination.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. You know, I mean, shit is definitely real. We was just showcasing the reality of what goes on, but, you know, I mean, niggas live that life, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's like, when we used to come through, they, you know what I mean, everybody used to just, you know what I mean, just do what they do normally, you know. We just think it's a combination of both, man. You know?
I mean, did it ever become a bit much for y'all? Like, did y'all ever look at some of the footage and be like, all right,
yeah, no,
like we showing some shit now, like.
Yeah, you know, I mean, as we grew up in our career, and, you know what I'm saying, you know, you don't want to
against it.
We stopped it.
Yeah, we stopped the guns on Smack TV.
Right, yeah,
like when a lot of people say, oh, you know, things got high. It wasn't because it was a conscious decision that we made. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Smack was like, yo, I'm not showing that shit no more. I don't want to show this anymore. We did that already. It's corny now, because what started to happen was, it went from a place where people who really did have guns and shit like that they wanted to show. That was their lifestyle. That's what they were doing. So then, just like anything else in rap music, somebody sees someone getting some attention or being successful at doing something, so they want to emulate what the person is doing. So then you just have people automatically thinking, oh, we're coming through, I'm going to bring my guns out. You know what I'm saying? Which is not authentic. You know what I'm saying? I liked it more or respected it more like if we were just shooting and the dude just leaned back and his shit was in his waistband and he just saw it because it was natural, as opposed to it being staged and he's saying, yo, they're going to be here at 4 o'clock, everybody's shining up their shit, you know what I'm saying, you're borrowing their cousins' guns, crossing the shotguns over their shoulders and shit. It got to be too much, you know what I'm saying? So,
but we off that though. That's a closed chapter, man. We trying to get this money right now, and you know, that was early.
Yeah, definitely. One thing a lot of people want to know is how did the whole Mook and Mills battle get set up? Like how did that go that day? Because that's we looking at it on film, and that was a monumental day.
Tony Nodge, man. Tony Nodge responsible. Jay Mills, you know what I'm saying? We was in the studio, and you know. We got the chord. Puff was down there with, you know what I mean, some rap dude, and, you know, Jay Mills was like, yo, man, let's go. We went up there, you know what I'm saying? Had it turned on the cameras, you know what I mean, they got it in. That's when he battled Sir Castro, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so it was on. I think just, you know, niggas just talking shit, you know what I'm saying?
Mook and Mills is like an ongoing thing going on in Harlem. So they had put some money up. There was like some talk of some money, like I think it was supposed to be like $5 grand or whatever they was all supposed to be putting up. So, you know, everybody met at the Harlem State Building on 125th Street, you know what I mean, and just smack being in the know was there. You know, it wasn't no place that we missed.
But pardon me, you said the Mook and you said Mills and Love. All right, yeah, I zoned out on that.
No. I said Mook and Mills.
Mook and Mills, yeah. They was just talking shit. Mook, you know what I mean? We didn't even know Mook was crazy like that, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, that was a classic battle, like, you know what I mean? That was a classic.
Kind of defined the changing of the guards in terms of the way that battles were done.
Definitely.
Because people were already battling in the street, and we're never saying that we invented the a cappella battle. I just feel that we were the first to document it and put it out on a large platform, so that's why we claim it. You know what I mean? But I feel like that battle was instrumental in how people battle today. I think today it is different than it was then, but that was like the beginning of that era. You know what I'm saying? And it was very important, you know, us documenting that battle and releasing it to the masses. It just changed the way that battles are done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people still rhyme over music, but I feel like that style is kind of antiquated at this point. You know what I mean? It's not where the popular culture is now. I mean, and that goes for everybody, like around the world. Just how leagues in other countries battle now. It's just set the tone for the way things are done. Now the structure is a little bit different now because, you know, it's business, so things are different. But that battle was very important.
All right, so even today, when you smack and you know basically the whole team sit down and put together your matchups, like a lot of people want to know what's the process that goes into that goes into putting these matchups together.
Oh man, just matching up, like, you know.
Come in this room right here.
Yeah, this is the strategy room, man. This is what we have, you know what I'm saying? Our meditation section is when it comes to like.
Playing around if you want. You know what I'm saying?
Putting these classes
stuff
together.
up on the board. There's nothing up there right now. You know what I'm saying? No information today, but you know, we come in, we write on the walls, whatever's on our mind. We just put a bunch of names on the board and we try to see what matchups make sense.
And we do it for the people, what the people want to see. Like, you know what I'm saying? The battles the people want to see, you know, the fans, and, you know, we try to make it happen. You know, we try to make it happen, but we know the battles everybody wants, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's just sometimes, you know, it's like boxing, like he said earlier, man, some dudes be running from certain dudes, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I mean, we trying to eliminate all that. We trying to get everybody to see everybody, you know what I mean? That's the ultimate goal, and we gonna see what it's hitting for.
I believe that's going to stop soon, though, because culture's growing at such an alarming rate that now where you could do one battle a year is risky for you. in terms of your status and your profile. So now it's getting to the point where you have to battle to stay relevant. You know what I mean? You can't take too many battles either, and you're gonna have to face certain opponents that you don't want to face. You know what I mean? I think that the mindset of people, you know, of saying if somebody lost the battle that it's over, I think that's definitely going away. Because I see people lose all the time, but people still want to see them if they're entertaining and they show up. Or people that say, much respect, but I feel like this guy won, but much respect to such and such. I feel like as long, the way, you know, our structure is set up, as long as you show up
good
and you do your job, people will have you back. They'll respect it. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff we had, you know, laid out in terms of format, I feel like is coming to place. Like a lot of people were having judges. We never had judges. You know what I'm saying? Then we went to online and we had the polls. You know what I mean? And then, you know, just the top 3-minute rounds. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff.
So not even to cut you off, but speaking of judges, I was going to get into that. Will we ever see that, or what do you feel like is the pros and cons with that? Because we've seen places like Fight Club and even like Eminem's MC battle thing he does. They've used judges to define a clear-cut winner in terms of that event. I mean, the viewers still gonna have their opinions at the end of the day.
But the judges is just normal people. Like everybody got like the culture's bigger than judges. Like, you know what I mean? You might not agree with judges. Even in boxing, like everybody got their own. Their own criteria and their own style of judging a battle. I might think, you know what I'm saying, yo, this guy was more funny, or yo, he won. Or yo, this guy, he had more punchline, he won. Or yo, this guy had most crowd reaction, he won. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different ways to judge it. So, like, the influence of a judge, it holds weight, you know what I mean? But, you know, I just think that, you know what I mean, the people should be their own judges, man. We do it for the people, man.
Well, only problem with judging is when you have a battle that's 3 minutes long, or 3-minute rounds, actually. 3-minute rounds. You don't catch everything live.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In the room at an event, you hear stuff, but it's more about the energy and the performance that you're feeling when you're seeing it live. When you go home, we see a whole other side of the battle. You know what I'm saying? There's been times I thought a dude clearly won until we watched the shit on film and we like, whoa. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to determine who won right then and there. I think the only way that we'll ever do judges is if we have a battle where there's some money on the line and you need a definitive answer right then and there.
A tournament like format.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so alright, man. So just to end it off, fellas, man. What do y'all think was the best battle of 2011?
2011. I'll have to say, you know what I'm saying, Arsenal and Calico.
I'm gonna go with QP and B Magic. I thought that battle was crazy. That was one of my favorites.
All right, man. So just let the people know, man, what's coming from Smack Your Island 2012, so they know what to be out on the look for.
Battles, and more battles, more events.
I'm putting together a little program, a little special program. Like, I don't got all of like the details, like, you know what I'm saying, fully yet, because I'm still in a creative mode of putting it together, you know. But it's definitely gonna be a different feel to the culture.
Also, look out for Summer Madness too.
Summer Madness too. We're gonna be crazy this year. You know, we working.
Definitely. All right, man. So you heard it right here, man. Smack, Beasley, URLTV.tv, man. Make sure y'all log on and tune in.
For sure.